Welcome to the Titanium Life Podcast. This is your host, Arman Sadeghi, and I'm so excited you joined me today because today's topic is something that is really dear to my heart. It's something that I just feel like if you can embrace, you can change your life in ways you never thought possible. And it's a simple concept. You see, when you look at most Americans or most people in developing nations, what you realize is that 95% of people are essentially living in the same sort of bucket when it comes to different areas. For example, 95% of Americans essentially live paycheck to paycheck. Now, it doesn't mean necessarily that all 95% would be bankrupt if they didn't get a paycheck. But what it means is that 95% of people have to work regularly and keep a job to survive. Now, that may not be a bad idea when you're 20 or when you're 30 or even 40. But as you get older, imagine having to work to sustain your lifestyle and knowing that if God forbid something happens to your health or something happens to your family, you wouldn't be able to take care of yourself and the people that you love most. So the key is, how do you become a part of that 5% financially? But finances are just one part of the pie, right? What about relationships? Well, you see 95% of people are either not in a happy relationship, or if they're in a relationship, they're in a relationship that they're basically just surviving. Then you look at other areas of life like health. When you look at health, again, you realize 95% of Americans and 95% of people in developed nations have health that's just barely surviving. Meaning they have a body fat percentage that possibly is higher than it should be. And they're in the kind of shape where they don't really have the energy to get out there and thrive and do incredible things, but they're barely just getting by. So the question is this: do you want to survive and be part of that 95%? Or do you want to thrive? Do you want to live life as part of that 5%? Or more importantly, would you like to join me in the group of people who want to live as part of the 1%? Because you see, the 1% when it comes to finances are the 1% who get to do what they want. They get to have financial freedom. The 1% in their relationship have absolute passion and intimacy. When it comes to their health, the 1% has the kind of body that they can be proud of and the kind of health and energy that allows them to do the things that they love in life. So if you have kids or you have hobbies and things you love to do, imagine having the energy to be able to do whatever it is that you want to do. And in business, imagine being able to get up every morning and embrace the day and get out there and accomplish all the things that you want to accomplish without having to worry about energy on a consistent basis. Well, you see, the way to make that happen, if you want to be a part of the 5% or the 1%, you're going to have to start doing what the 1% does. Let me ask you a question. In the morning, when you're driving to work, yesterday as you drove to work, let me ask you a question. What percentage of the freeway was full of cars? Well, if you got up like normal people do, sometime around, let's say, 6:30, 7 a.m., maybe even a little earlier than that or a little later than that, and you got on the road and you got on the freeway, and if like me, you live in a place like, say, Southern California, and you started driving down the freeway at about 8:30, 9 o'clock, stuck in traffic, guess what? You're with the 95%. And that's why 95% of that highway is filled with cars. Now, if you're like me and say you got up at 4 o'clock in the morning or earlier than that, and you got on the road at 4:30, or like me, you were at the gym by 4:15 a.m., guess what? You don't see traffic. There's no traffic at 4:15 in the morning. There's no traffic at 5 a.m. Why? Because you're living amongst the 1%. Now, I'm not suggesting you're getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning because you have to, because I don't have to. I do it because I want to. I do it because I enjoy it. I do it because I like being part of the 1%. I like being someone who pushes myself to that next level. So my question for you in every aspect of your life is, do you want to be a part of the 95%, or do you want to be part of the 5% or even the 1%? You see, if you want to be part of the 1%, you can't do what the other 99% of people do. So for example, the people you know, your peers, like to watch television. Well, guess what? The 1% doesn't sit there and watch television. You have friends, you have peers who maybe after work like to get together 2 or 3 times a week, eat buffalo wings, and drink beer possibly. Well, guess what? That's not the 1%. Not that you can't eat buffalo wings, not that you can't drink beer. You can do all of those things. But if you're doing it on a consistent basis, then you are going to be part of the 95% because that's what the 95% does. So the question you have to ask yourself in life, and the question I want you to ask yourself today, is a decision of, do you want to be part of the 95% or do you want to be part of the top 5% in any area of your life? In your intimate relationship, let's say you're a man and you're listening to this podcast right now. I want to ask you a question. What kinds of romantic things have you done for your wife or your girlfriend? If you're not in a relationship, this doesn't apply to you. But if you are in a relationship, when was the last time you surprised her with something incredible that she loves? Now, if you don't have the financial ability to do something that's very expensive, hey, there are simple ways you can do incredibly romantic things for your girl. So my question for you is, when was the last time you did that? And if you're not into riding up to your, girlfriend's house on a white horse, and if you're not into getting on your knee to propose, and you're not into doing that romantic stuff and surprising her with gifts or trips or whatever, well, guess what? Then you're living amongst the 95%, and your relationship is going to be just like the 95%. So what you need to understand is you're going to have to establish at one point, what do you want to do and where do you want to be in life? And if you want to be part of that 95%, there's nothing wrong with that. But just realize you're going to be part of the 95%. The most important thing I can tell you is this. You cannot act like the 95% and get the kind of results that the 5% at the top get. So if you want to get those results, you're going to have to act in a manner that no one around you acts. Very, very few people you find in your life are going to be part of that 1% at the top. In fact, by definition, only 1 out of every 100 people are going to be part of that 1%. And that 1 out of every 100 people is actually hard to find, because guess what? They're probably not going to be in line next to you at Starbucks at 8:30 in the morning, right? They're not going to be in the gym at 9:30 in the morning or at 6 p.m. when you get in there. They're probably getting to the gym earlier. They're probably living a lifestyle that's different than the one that typical people are living in. They're probably not standing in line at McDonald's to order a Big Mac, right? Not that those things are things you cannot do. I am actually against people who tell you, hey, you have to live life this way to be successful. No, that's not true. For many people, the definition of success is being able to eat McDonald's if you want, and that's fine, right? So you don't have to change the things that you do in terms of what you believe in at your core to be part of your values and your beliefs. But what you have to do is understand that as long as you're living like the 95%, you will get results like the 95%. So today, I want to welcome you. I want to inspire you, and I want to challenge you to join the 1%. Join the 1% of people who truly get the most out of life. And the first way to start doing that is your mornings. Having a powerful morning routine where you get out of bed and you get your day started earlier than anyone else. I find personally that the first 3 to 4 hours of my day are as productive as the entire rest of my day. There have been times where I've been very focused on my work. Whether it was new content I was putting together or doing something in one of my businesses, whether I was trying to grow it or it was a struggling business that I was trying to get out of some mess that it was in. And there are times where I've worked over holidays, weekends, whatever it is. And many times Thanksgiving Day and Christmas Day have fallen during these times where my businesses have been going through some tough times or I was trying to do something big. And what I've noticed is Thanksgiving Day, for example, a couple of years ago, I had some big projects going on. So I got up super early in the morning. I got up at like 3 o'clock in the morning and got myself to the office and essentially put in a full day's work. There was no one around, no phone ringing, no emails, no Facebook messages. I just focused. And after somewhere between 7 to 8 hours of working hard, I closed up my office, got in the car, and drove to my family's house where we were having Thanksgiving. And when I got there, it was interesting to see that everybody else was getting there at about the same time as me. The difference is they had slept in, right? And they had taken their time to get out in the morning and they were just showing up to Thanksgiving. And the rest of the day, I was like everyone else and I got the same out of Thanksgiving Day. But what they didn't realize is I had already gotten my workout in for the day and I had already gotten a substantial amount of work done. And all that was from having this incredibly powerful morning routine and understanding that the mornings are an incredible time for you to get ahead, for you to get connected with yourself. If you like time to yourself, the mornings are the time to do it. You see, many people claim to be night owls. I don't believe in that. I understand that people have different circadian rhythms and there's all kinds of different things going on inside of our bodies and our minds. But I believe for most people, if you focus on getting the right kind of sleep, which is something I'll address in a different podcast at some point. But if you get the right kind of sleep and you're eating the right kind of foods, you can get up in the morning. And after a few minutes of feeling a little groggy like we always do, You can have an incredibly powerful morning where your mind is inspired. Your body is energetic and vibrant, and you're pushing ahead and you're doing things that your peers just absolutely cannot do. And that, my friends, is one way of joining the 1%. But if you wake up at a time where 40% of society is already awake, then guess what? You're part of that 95%, and you will get the same results as that 95%. I have a thing where I say, beat the sun out of bed. When I get up in the morning, my goodness, if the sun has beaten me out of bed, that's a very disastrous morning for me. That's a morning that I look at and I go, my goodness, is this where I've gotten in life? Is now the sun is beating me out of bed? So in the mornings, that's my competition, is me against the sun. Now, personally, what I like is beating the sun out of bed by several hours. I like the days, which is a typical day for me, where I not only beat the sun out of bed, but I get to the gym and I leave the gym before the sun comes up, and I get to the office before the sun comes up. When you get to the office, you've already worked out, you've already taken care of your morning routine, and the sun is not even up yet. That's when you start feeling powerful. And then my employees start rolling in 2 to 3 hours later. And I'm looking at these guys, and all that could go through my mind is, how do you expect to ever catch up to where I'm at if that's what you really want to do? If you're rolling into the office 3 hours later than me, and I've already worked out, I've already gotten my energy for the day, right? And maybe I've recorded one of my podcasts already in the morning, and I've done all these things, and you're just getting your day started. So the reality is this, my friends. I want to invite you to join me and some other folks who are really taking life to the next level and living at the 1%. One way of doing that is an incredible, powerful morning routine where you get up in the morning and you get out there, you get to the gym, you exercise, you get your body ready for the day, and you start your day in a way where your mind is able to do incredible things that others just can't do. You live life like that, and you're truly going to be able to be part of that 1%. So thank you for joining me here today on this podcast. I've got some really exciting things coming up here for you, including a couple of interviews that you're really going to love. And I'm going to talk to you about some of the key areas of life that are going to help you take things to the next level. But this is an important lesson because as you learn the tools that I'm going to teach you, it's important for you to want to be part of that 5% or that 1%. So get out there today, have an incredible day, and get ready for tomorrow to be possibly the first day that you've aimed at being part of the 1%. And the way you're going to do that is you're going to take actions that 99% of the people you know would never take. But you are going to live life at a different level. I love you all, and I want to remind you, as part of that 1%, one key factor is always lead with your heart.
Thanks for listening to Titanium Life Radio with Arman Sadeghi here on the Apollo Podcast Network. For more information or to subscribe to this podcast, visit titaniumsuccess.com/podcast.